we're about to go to Victoria. So we're like, I'm literally on the ferry right now.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Very cool. How's tour going?
It's going good so far. We did 5 dates across the states to get out here,
Right.
and the shows are pretty fun. Yeah, it was a good time.
Did you do all of those as double headers as well?
We did, but the one thing with America is, one, Cancer Best isn't as popular there,
Right.
and two, they don't really love long sets.
Okay.
Like, I feel like, I don't know if it's the American attention span or what it is, but I feel like nobody is like, oh, I'm so stoked, my favorite band is playing for 2 hours. They're like, oh, I'm good. Like, you guys can play 45 minutes, and then I'll go and eat tater tots or whatever it is Americans do. So I find that we have to, like, make our sets really short there, because people tend to, like, I don't know, lose attention.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. So, I don't know, it's weird. So we're only doing, like, we would do, like, 12 Cancer Bad songs and then 8 Sabbath tracks.
Gotcha.
But it was cool. Yeah, the shows are super fun, but it is kind of like a funny thing. So it didn't end up being, like, a double set. It was, like, one long set.
Right.
And then there'd be all these guys who would be like, oh my God, I can't believe you guys played no breaks that whole time. And I was like, we literally just played for an hour and 12 minutes. That's not, it's not anything to brag about.
It's not unheard of in the Cancer Bats camp, so to speak.
Yeah. Whereas, like, when you play in Europe and you don't play for 3 hours, people feel like they're getting ripped off.
Wow.
Yeah, it's funny.
Is it safe to say for you guys then that Europe and Canada are the big places for you to play?
Yeah, definitely. We always will say that it's kind of like everywhere else but America. And not to say like America hasn't been cool, but it's just, yeah, we've kind of had a chance to tour in those other places, and yeah, it's always just sort of worked out for us better. So we're like, oh, well, we'll kind of just come back to America later. We're not too bothered, especially because you're like, I could go hang out in Michigan, or I could go hang out in like Berlin.
Right.
And you're like, I might pick Berlin. It's a little further away, but you know, it's kind of a cooler spot to hang.
Well, and that's kind of the point of it too, is that it is a little bit further away. You couldn't just pick up and drive there on the weekend if you felt like it.
Yeah, true. But it's funny that like we've been to, you know, like places in Europe more times than we have been to like Detroit.
Right.
You know, even though Detroit's only 4 hours away, it's always been like a weird thing. But I mean, the same with like Alexis on Fire, the same with Billy Talent. Like, it's kind of also just, it's tough to break into America versus going over to Europe. So we've always just been like, well, it's a lot easier to like play in the UK and to do well there, and where we're like kind of welcome with open arms. Whereas like the American scene is a little bit different.
Right.
I've always said too that it's just because America has enough really good bands of their own.
Right.
You know, it's not like they need to like look too much further. Like for us, like, you know, right across the border in Buffalo, you have like Every Time I Die, you know, and all these other bands. Like when we were growing up, it was just like, well, yeah, why would you need more bands? You have like Buried Alive and Snapcase and Every Time I Die, and it's right there. Or in Detroit, there was like, you know, Walls of Jericho and all sorts of bands, and like such good scenes in all of these cities. It's like I can kind of see how it would become a little bit more insular.
Right.
And you depend less on like touring bands. Whereas like if you show up to Leipzig, Germany, there's like maybe a rockabilly band that's from there, and then that's about it.
Yeah. Is Leipzig a big venue for you guys? I know Comeback Kid does very well in Leipzig.
Yeah, we actually played that show.
Oh, did you?
Where that Comeback Kid DVD was filmed. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we were on that whole tour in 2007. Yeah, that's the thing. Germany's awesome. Germany, Belgium, like Netherlands, like all those spots have great little scenes. So we've been really lucky. And I think again because it's like we've always gone over with, you know, like our Canadian brothers. So
yeah,
kind of have that as like, oh, we love Canadian bands like Comeback Kid, Alexis on Fire, you guys, like Silverstein. You're like, oh, okay, cool. Like you guys actually are into what we have to offer from Canada.
Yeah.
and not just the general like, oh, I love, you know, hardcore bands. It's like they're a little bit more, I guess, like, I don't know, just like maybe informed. But I think it's also like just like people in general are really into music and really into the scene there.
Right.
I would say a lot like, and not even just saying this because we're going there, but in the same way that, you know, in a lot of places in Canada, like in BC or like in Alberta or in, you know, like in a place like Thunder Bay, it's like just because you turn 30 doesn't mean you're going to stop listening to metal.
Right.
You know, or like just because you have a house and a kid doesn't mean you can't go to a metal show.
That's
so
right, yeah.
there is a bit of that happens in like, you know, some other spots. Like in Ontario, there's definitely like a lot of guys who don't go to shows anymore because they're like, oh, I have a job now. And you're like, oh, really? Like the only reason why you liked metal is because you didn't have a job?
Yeah, I can see that.
But I get it, and it's fine. It's just it is nice to see, you know, when we go to like these other places and come into other towns, like when you go to Thunder Bay or when we go into BC, and there's all these people that are just like, oh, I still, you know, ride motorcycles and snowboard and hang out, like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And you're just like, yes, so do we. Awesome.
We haven't talked about this because I don't know whether we've talked since or if maybe I let it slip the last time we talked. You did some shows in the UK. Was it last year or the year before where you did all these shows? Was it in one day and the routing ended up being in the shape of a pentagram?
Oh, yeah. That was the record release of DSOL.
Okay.
In London. Was we called it the Pentagram Tour, but it was just a tour of London in the shape of a pentagram, and we did all the shows in 12 hours. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was awesome. All the shows were in like small venues, so like all like little 300 cap clubs and stuff like that, and they were all sold out, like packed with people. Everyone was partying, having a good time. So yeah, it was really fun.
That's awesome. We talked a little bit about the doubleheader tour. You guys originally started doing. Did you originally start doing the Bat Sabbath stuff in the UK?
Yeah, it was originally we got asked to do it for a festival. And that's how it came about. They were asking us to be like, kind of like just the after party. So we had played that afternoon, or it was like we were scheduled to play in the afternoon, and they were like, well, would you also want to play at like, you know, 11 o'clock at night? And we were like, yeah, that'd be cool. So we learned a half hour of Sabbath, and then yeah, that's where it all first started. And then I always say because of the power of the internet, people found out that we had done these shows, or had done that show, and the recordings that people were making on their phones from the tent turned out to be awesome. So it was like everyone could hear these like really rad, you know, covers that we had done, and we're really pumped. And we were like, oh, this is the best. Like now everybody really, you know, really wants to hear this thing in other places. So we've done like a bunch of tours now. We did like a Southern Ontario one, and again that spawned like more people wanting to see it. So we've done it in the UK, we've done it in Europe, like in Spain and in Italy, and a bunch of spots. So I'm stoked.
That's awesome.
I'm sure now that the like double header tour is like coming around and like being successful, I think we'll probably like it always happens when we cover a band and then people find out it's a really fun idea, then we just get asked to do it everywhere. So right. I don't think this will be the last of the double header tours.
Well, I hope you're keeping yourself in good shape for playing the double header tours.
Yeah, that's the one thing is that I feel like we've gotten, you can never like start playing an hour-long set. You know, like when you first start out as a band, you don't have that kind of cardio.
Right.
And so like you play 20 minutes and you're gassed out.
Yeah.
I remember when we used to like tour with Alexis on Fire, we like couldn't even believe that those dudes would play for an hour. Like it blew our minds. But then like 8 years later, it's like, oh yeah, well like we're going to play 2 hour-long sets and I'm not even worried about that. Like, I guess it's like dad strength. You know, you don't think about it. You just get stronger.
And you just do it.
Yeah.
Very cool. So the original set was a half-hour set. So you guys have obviously added some songs to the set.
Yeah, we've beefed the set way up, and we've kind of just like also gotten more into the catalog.
Right.
You know, so I feel like expanding the set has also been just an excuse for us to like kind of like play more songs that we're stoked on as well. And even just like getting ready for this tour, like we had an hour that we had learned originally, and just like wanting to kind of expand on that and play more songs that we were stoked on. So for this tour, we've learned Lord of This World, Hannah Doom, Fairies Wear Boots, Symptom of the Universe, and Electric Funeral.
Nice.
So to even up our game more so. Very
cool. Are you gonna step it up maybe even further and dip into some Ronnie James Dio Sabbath at some point?
No, we've always maintained an Aussie only rule.
Fair enough.
For Bass Sabbath, but no disrespect to Dio and what he had done, but I also don't think I could sing like Dio. As much as I even just butcher Aussie, I think it would get really intense if I was going to try some Dio stuff.
Fair enough. That might take some vocal lessons.
Yeah, some actual vocal lessons. Yeah, exactly.
Since DSOL came out, you guys have basically been touring nonstop. Have you had some time to get home and relax at all?
Yeah, we're coming off of 2 months of just chill time, which is it was the first time we've ever had that much time off in a row since the band had started. Wow. So it was kind of after touring we were pretty much out for 14 months straight for DSOL. So it was like, all right, hanging out, taking some time, like perfect.
Excellent. So you guys were, did you kind of run away from each other, or was it, or are you guys so close now that you, even when you had 2 months off, you were still going for coffee every day and stuff like that?
We still see each other a lot. I mean, we ended up just being busy too with other things. So without even like, not like trying to avoid each other, but we would just ended up, there would be a couple days where we'd be like, oh, I haven't seen you. What have you been up to? Right. Oh, right on. One thing, Scobe went out to Spain to learn how to build guitars.
Oh, wow.
Was a big thing that he did. Yeah. So that was cool. He was gone for like probably 6 weeks. And I think that was like one of the big reasons why we took that much time off. Right. In the first place was just like, oh, you're going to do this thing? Cool. Well, we all want to just hang out with our girlfriends and kind of have a fun summer. So this works so perfectly. So that way we could just kind of like, no matter what, when we were like, oh, we can't play that festival, Scott's gone. Sorry. Yeah, so it worked out.
Excellent. So there was no other than learning how to make guitars. There was no sort of side project stuff going on. You guys actually just sat and relaxed.
Yeah, I mean, me and Jay had a one farewell Sex Tears show, which is our power violence side project.
Right.
So we played one last show of that. We've done 3 shows total in 1 year. So that was like our big send off.
Right.
Was a final farewell, which was great. But yeah, not a lot of jamming outside of that, which was kind of nice. Sometimes I feel like it's just like when your whole life is like playing these songs, it's like nice to take some chill time. But we also, we did a few weekends kind of leading up. So we went to Newfoundland for a weekend. We played like a festival in Hamilton, and we played like a festival up in Quebec City.
Right.
So that was kind of fun to like slowly kind of like get back into the groove.
Right.
Instead of like diving straight into like a 2-month tour like we would have done before. We were kind of like, yeah, we'll play for 2 days and then we'll go home. Right on. But I think like coming up, like I don't know if we'll be doing any more like big 3-month grinders.
Yeah.
I feel like all of us are kind of like, we've done that. We're not as really concerned with like trying to like, tell people we played, 300 shows in a year. I'm good.
Now maybe you'll just do 290 in a year?
Last year I did 208 months.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so between between April and December, I did 200 shows between Cancer Bats and Axe Wound, and that was a big year. So I'm kind of like, I don't want to do that anymore. I've done it.
Yeah,
I'm good. And I was stoked. Like, that's the thing. Like, all the shows were awesome, and like I had an amazing year. But it's kind of like, once you climb Kilimanjaro, you can kind of just tick it off your list.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Are you guys at this point considering doing any writing for a new album, or is that kind of an ongoing thing with you guys?
No, we're definitely the kind of band that has to like sit down and actually write a record. But that's kind of like the reason why we're doing this one last tour and haven't started the writing sooner. We were just kind of like, well, let's go out with a bang. We'll play some really fun shows, and we'll get kind of stoked, to go into the studio and to do this stuff and to be like, this is exactly why we're going to write another record, is to kind of keep this party going.
Awesome. And for you, is there any Axe Wound stuff happening again, or was that kind of a one-off?
No, I actually went to the UK a couple weeks ago and hung out with all those guys for Matt Tuck's wedding.
Oh, okay.
And we were all talking about how we want to do some more Axe Wound stuff. So I think there's definitely going to be another Axe Wound record, probably sooner than later, just because of the nature of that project. We just seem to get together and bang out an album. So I think those guys might even start writing as early as like this month.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know. Hopefully, I can go over there, maybe in between writing the Cancer Bats album, and we'll bang out some tunes.
Amazing. So
I'm pumped. It's a fun like alternative to what Cancer Bats is.
Right.
So it's like all those things that I like to put a lot of time and thought into Cancer Bats lyrics and like make sure there's like a story and have it being really personal. So as the alternative, it's really nice sometimes to like have a song that's completely not about me, and I can just write a bunch of like fun, evil, satanic songs.
Very cool. So it sounds like there's going to be, even though you're not going to do 300 shows in the next year, it sounds like you're still going to be a fairly busy fella.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, as I say it, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do this. And it's like, but I am going to do more records and, more things. A kid said to me yesterday, was talking about how we had time off and we were still, like doing tons of things. And he was just like, well, they say busy people stay busy. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'd never heard that expression, but that completely makes sense.
Yeah, it's true. Very true. Well, Liam, thanks so much for taking some time to talk to me today. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks as always for having me on the show. Hey. And can't wait.
Yeah.
Thunder Bay is going to be a ripper.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. There's a big buzz about the show, and I'm looking forward to hanging out and being pummeled for 2 hours.
2 hours of pummeling.
That's right.
Sweet, man. Well, take care, and we'll split a Persian when I'm in town.
Absolutely. We will see you guys next week. Have a safe trip.
I will. Awesome.
Take care.
You too.
Bye.